Welcome, everyone. Good to have you here. Let's dive into the dynamics of narcissism. And the reason why I like to focus on it today is because if we look at the shadow self, there are certain degrees to it. And if you look at the far end of it, you're going to find narcissism. So if someone is completely taken over by their shadow, if someone is completely filled up with darkness, that's it. This is narcissism. And how does someone become narcissistic? Because if we look at the nature of humans, that's actually nothing that's healthy and that's actually nothing that's sustainable. But if you are looking at someone being narcissistic, usually they experience the very detrimental childhood, extreme trauma, extreme neglect, extreme abuse. And keeping in mind their soul most likely going through these kind of cycles several lifetimes, who knows? So that's just an anticipation. But if we see someone with narcissistic tendencies, you might notice they are usually acting in a very self centered and self righteous way. They usually see the blame in everything that happens to them in the outside world. So the perpetrator, the bad things, everything is outside. There is no self reflection present within them. They are not capable of seeing the fault within themselves. They're not capable of sensing what they are doing and how their behavior might be in the wrong. And this is the extreme, really. This is the extreme of taking absolutely no responsibility for their own life, taking no charge, and always projecting the bad onto the outside world. And within their world, they usually have a certain system. So they have their people who are supportive, but the rest is like the absolute war zone. And they also have like the scapegoat, usually, where they put all the blame on and all the shame, all the criticism. Everything bad that happens to them is because of the scapegoat. And maybe you were the one in your family system, and you notice, okay, well, yeah, I took all the blame, I took all the shame, I was always the faulty one, I was always criticized. That's the reason, because they have no capacity of compassion, no capacity of love, but they only function from this mere shell of seeing the fault in everyone else and seeing themselves as this innocent, perfect, pure being which has no fault at all. But keep in mind, this is some kind of frozen awareness. They are not capable to reflect back to you what's really going on. They don't sense the shift any longer. It's like they are frozen in time. Their consciousness is frozen in time. They are not really able to develop any further. And you're going to notice that maybe if you meet them today, they are the same like you've met them 10 years before. And maybe if you meet them in 20 years, they're still going to be the same because there is no inner development. They are going to stay the same because they don't allow themselves to interact with whatever is happening in the present. They are completely stuck within their state of being. And the reason for that is because everything inside is more or less fragmented and dissociated, and they're only a mere shell of themselves. There's only this emptiness inside them, and carrying this shell for the outer world and functioning from the shadow aspect within themselves, or this really fragmented state. And maybe you even notice, if you know someone who's narcissistic, that they are almost like a black hole. They always try to pull in energy from the outside because they cannot sustain themselves much longer. They are not generating energy themselves. They are not generating life within themselves. It's really, they are like this black hole that needs to pull energy from others. When we see that for this extreme that it is, we somehow feel maybe pity for them and sorry for them, and that's okay. Yet keep in mind, it's also their choice. It is a choice to stay frozen in time. It's a choice to not take full responsibility for your own life and for your own misery. It's a choice that you do not want to move forwards and learn and reflect in yourself of what you can improve and where you can work on yourself. And with that choice being made, this is like a descension. When we are talking about descension and ascension, that's exactly that. If this consciousness is frozen in time, if it's sinking to the ground, if you want to, you can compare it like that. If you want to swim, you need to make the effort. If you are diving and you want to move back to the surface, you need to dive upwards. But if you don't, you're just sinking to the ground and you're gonna stay there. And that is what's gonna happen to a soul that is not willing to evolve any further. And within that state of stagnation and refusing to take responsibility for the self, this means there is also no self that's taking responsibility much longer. They have abandoned their own self. They have left their own self behind. And it's sad seeing that. But I do believe that even if we might try and be compassionate towards them, it's still their choice and still their responsibility. And maybe one or the other might find their way back. And I also don't think that it's a thing that you have to resolve in one lifetime, or maybe you can, as a soul, experience some low lifetimes over and over again. But you need to find the way back. If you don't choose to go up again, move upwards again, face the inner fears, face the inner darkness, the inner shadows, whatever is messed up there, you're gonna just sink lower and lower and stay down there. So yeah, that's just something I found very interesting, and I wanted to share with you because I noticed that narcissism, we use this term quite loosely, and it's because, yes, somehow we can carry narcissistic traits ourselves. Sometimes when there are shadows and we are not connected to our hearts. But narcissism in itself is really the far end, is the extreme. I'm curious to hear what you think about that. Happy to hear your thoughts and looking forward to seeing you next time. Take good care and goodbye for now.